The following video seminar on managing accidents and claims costs has been produced by the Lancer Insurance Group for the exclusive benefit of our policyholders. As the nation's #1 transportation insurance specialist, our dedication to providing our customers with free and exclusive quality products and services is unmatched by anyone. Hello, my name is Jack Burkert. I'm Senior Vice President of Safety for the Lancer Insurance Group. As a certified director of safety with over 25 years of experience as a teacher, a writer, and a safety consultant in the transportation field, I've seen thousands of different situations where vehicles are involved in accidents. In my 12 years with Lancer, we have gathered an enormous database of safety and claims statistics, which help us accurately analyze our ever-changing industry. We've produced this video safety seminar to offer you guidelines on how to prepare yourself and your company to handle an accident and reduce claims. While we know it's impossible to define every preventative measure or hazardous condition that professional drivers are faced with every day, we will provide some safety tips on how to prevent 2 of the most common accidents involving the trucking industry. Our video seminar will begin with a brief presentation by Paul Byrne, Lancer's Vice President of Claims. Paul provides some insight into claims management. Next, we'll hear from Jim Dill, a trial lawyer from Lafayette, Louisiana, who specializes in defending trucking companies. Jim describes some of the ways you can protect your company from excessive claims costs. Paul and I will then detail 2 actual case studies offering tips on safety, prevention, and how claims can impact your bottom line. Finally, I'll follow up with a brief discussion on insurance fraud. Now, to get us started, here's Paul Byrne with an update on challenges posed by the changing world of claims.
Hello, my name is Paul Byrne. For 15 years, I have managed truck insurance claims, and for the last 7 years, I have been the Vice President of Claims for Lancer Insurance Company. The world of claims has changed greatly in that time, and it's important that we take a moment to understand how seriously these changes affect the trucking industry. The cost of claims is on the rise. As we all know, the cost of everything seems to have gone up. Medical costs, damage costs, even the cost of investigating the accidents that you're involved in, and certainly the costs of litigation. Jury verdicts are as unpredictable as they've ever been. The amount of money awarded against your company is being decided by 6, 8, 12 lay people who know very little about the way your company operates. And of course, there are the lawyers, some of whom have one purpose, and that is to build claims against your company. Truck cases have become the plaintiff lawyer's bonanza. Lawyers are fighting one another to get cases against trucking companies. They know these cases mean big insurance limits and lots of assets. And the lawyers are everywhere. They're at the scene of accidents. Some are even at the hospitals waiting for the injured to arrive. And the lawyers are going to school to learn how to make a case against your company. The American Trial Lawyers Association and state legal associations have more and more information and seminars available for the exclusive purpose of teaching how to make cases against trucking companies like yours. And what happens when those cases go to trial? You're on trial. Every one of you who watches this tape can probably expect that over the next 5 to 10 years, you will in fact be in a courtroom or at some point have your deposition taken as a lawyer builds a case against your company. In order to help you defend yourself against these increasingly aggressive legal tactics, we've asked Jim Dill, a trial lawyer who specializes in defending Lancer truck policyholders, to give you some valuable suggestions on what you can do to protect yourself from determined plaintiff lawyers.
Hello, my name is Jim Dill, and I'm a trial lawyer from Lafayette, Louisiana. For 11 years, I have specialized in defending truck drivers and trucking companies like yours in lawsuits resulting from accident situations. I'm going to offer you some recommendations on being prepared, what specific steps you can take to put me and other defense attorneys around the country in the best possible position to win the lawsuits filed against you and your company. My battleground goes beyond the courtroom. It begins with the accident scene. I have won and lost cases for truckers and trucking companies based on what drivers said and did at an accident scene. As long as drivers are physically able, they have some very specific things they must do to properly and effectively manage the scene. After an accident, don't admit fault to anyone under any circumstances. While a driver does need to tell the truth, accepting blame for an accident creates a huge hurdle that is often difficult, if not impossible, to overcome when presenting a case to a jury. Remember, it's my job to develop defenses for you that are supported by the law. The only way we can properly prepare your defense is if all accidents, no matter how small, are reported to Lancer immediately. Then we have the chance to evaluate who is really at fault. Everything a driver does and says at the accident scene could very well be presented to a jury. Drivers should have the presence of mind to protect the scene with four-way flashers and triangles. They should check other vehicles for those who may be injured. They should call for police and medical assistance. They should gather as much witness information as possible. And very importantly, take photographs of the scene. Most of all, drivers should stay in control of their emotions and stay calm. Put yourself in the position of a juror. Wouldn't you be more inclined to believe or sympathize with someone who is testifying if they had shown care and concern and kept their cool at the scene? This can be critical in a trial. If a driver exhibits anger, takes aggressive action, or blames others for the accident, your lawyer will have an uphill battle in defending you. Every aspect of your company can be on trial when a lawsuit is filed against you, so you must be in compliance with the law and with all safety regulations. You have no choice. You must be legal, especially with plaintiff attorneys ready to pounce on your every failure as a reason for a jury to award your money to someone else. You and your drivers can expect to have to explain your logs, your routes, what you did on your breaks, when you slept, when you ate, just about every second of your time for as long as a week before the accident. It's always easier to defend those whose paperwork is accurate because it helps me establish your credibility to the jury. Of course, if there are any problems relating to driver qualifications, the trip, the driver's logs, the vehicle, or your maintenance, you need to tell us immediately. It can be devastating to the defense if we find out about the problem areas after too much time has passed or when the lawsuit is filed. Remember, your lawyer's job is to defend you, and the only way we can do this is if we have all of the information, good and bad. Plaintiff lawyers are getting smarter and better at attacking truckers and trucking companies. You should expect them to try to prove that the driver didn't do the pre-trip inspection, your vehicle was unsafe, that you had missed scheduled maintenance, that the driver was not qualified to drive a truck, that you didn't operate within size and weight limits, even that your vehicle fees and taxes weren't paid. Allegations of this type can be successfully defended only when your records are in order and when you follow government regulations and your own company's safety policies carefully, methodically, and consistently. The best way to protect yourself from the nightmare of litigation is to operate legally, be safe, and be prepared. By working together, we can improve our chances of winning these lawsuits against you and your company.
Now, let's take a look at the first of our two actual case studies involving frequent trucking accident scenarios. We call this case Trapped to the Right.
Our first case involves an Indiana accident that occurred in the early morning hours of midwinter. Although the weather conditions were sunny and dry, our insured was pulling a 40-foot trailer. The driver was nearing the end of his trip. He had approached the intersection of two city streets, had stopped and was preparing to make a right turn at the intersection which was controlled in all directions by a traffic light. The driver activated his turn signals, checked his mirrors, and moved into the lane to his left to make the wide right turn. He completed his turn and had traveled only a few hundred feet when a car pulled up next to him. He saw the car driver frantically signaling to him to pull over. When he did, he was immediately told by the auto driver that she had been stopped to his right at the light, and when he made his turn, his trailer struck the driver's side of her car. The police arrived a few minutes later. The truck driver told the police he had been in the right lane, moved left to make the turn, and did not see anyone to his right at any time. The auto driver told the police that she was stopped in a lane of travel to the right of the truck and had never moved. The police officer, after hearing both versions, inspecting the scene, and examining the point of impact to both vehicles, determined that the truck driver had made an illegal right turn.
Our driver made a classic driving error. He chose to make what is called a button hook right-hand turn, swinging left before turning right. This approach to a right-hand turn invites a collision. When making a turn, you need to be aware of three critical areas: your position, your sight lines, and the space around your truck. If you button hook the turn, you'll get more space to make the corner, but you'll open the gap to the right. Confuse the drivers behind you who may see you move left before they see your right turn signal, and you will lose necessary rearward right side vision. You'll be blind to anything that may slip into the space you create to your right at the very moment you need to see. The best defense against right turn collisions is your position. Set up for a turn 4 feet from the curb, or 4 feet from any parked cars at the turn point. This will discourage, even prevent right side passing, and it allows for many right-hand turns to be safely completed. But watch for motorcycles, bicycles, and pedestrians, which are not blocked by a 4-foot clearance. Expect the worst from them, and watch your right side carefully. We need to maintain a clear line of sight to the front, to the sides, and critically, to the rear. The only way to get that clear line of sight to the rear is to maintain the vehicle in a straight alignment with the road. Then, as you move forward, you can continue to see to the rear until your turn is actually well underway. There are situations when that tight 4-foot clearance to the right won't give you the space you need to make your turn. There's no question that not all right-hand turns can be made from a position 4 feet away from the curb. So, what should you do? Instead of the button hook, maintain your straight approach. Get your signal on early and start farther out from the curb, 6 feet, 8 feet if necessary. Keep your vehicle straight so that as you approach and begin your turn, you'll be able to see behind you. As you turn, prepare to stop and yield if that's what it takes to get your turn made safely. These techniques work. They will keep you accident-free.
We call our second case study Too Close, Too Fast. This accident took place in Pennsylvania on a clear day in March. Our policyholder was pulling a flatbed loaded with coiled steel. He was on a state route with a posted speed limit of 55 miles per hour. Traffic in front of him began to slow, and the car directly in front of him applied its brakes suddenly. The truck driver had been maintaining a following distance of less than 50 feet behind the car in front of him. He hit his brakes hard, swerved left to avoid impact, but was unable to do so. The result? He struck the car in front of him, pushing it into 2 other automobiles. 4 people were injured, and the truck driver was cited for speeding, following too closely, and careless driving.
This crash was caused by at least 2 driving errors. Each contributed to the situation. First, our driver failed to maintain a safe following distance. Tailgating, following too closely, invites major disaster. You have no space and no time to stop if anything goes wrong. Maintaining a proper following distance is essential if you want to drive accident-free. Staying 4 seconds away from the vehicle ahead will give you the time and the space you need under most driving conditions. It's easy to set up and maintain a 4-second following distance. When the vehicle ahead passes some fixed point, a sign, a shadow, a line across the road, you begin to count off the seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. You should not reach that same point until you have counted off the full 4 seconds. If you do, you're tailgating. So back off until you have the proper following distance. Even if your following distance is cut off by other vehicles cutting in front of you, you can regain a safe following distance by easing up on your speed until you are again following at 4 seconds. Weather and road conditions are factors that could affect your ability to see or to stop. In those cases, you need to back off even further, to 6 or more seconds. The second factor creating this crash is a little harder to figure. Just how did our driver miss seeing the slowing and stopping traffic ahead? Inattention is always possible, but he denied being inattentive or distracted. It may be that he took a momentary nap, a micro-sleep episode. A micro-sleep is a very brief period of sleep. Brief naps like this can happen to anyone, but most frequently to those who are not well rested. When they occur, the driver loses attention and mentally dozes off for 5, 10, even 20 seconds. During that nap, the driver might even steer the vehicle, but the hazards of the road are not registering or being reacted to. In this particular case, during what we could assume was a microsleep, stopped traffic in the construction zone built up ahead, but was unseen by our driver. Fatigue is a big safety issue, and its role in traffic collisions may be more significant than anyone ever thought. Drivers must manage sleep and working hours to prevent fatigue and take action while driving. Keeping eyes moving, taking frequent breaks, getting fresh air are a few of the ways to reduce the possibilities of napping at the wheel. If you're tired, you can't beat fatigue. Stop and get some rest. Before we close, let's talk about one more way you can control your claims costs. Insurance fraud is on the rise. It is one of the big enemies of the trucking industry. The high-priced repair estimate for extensive damage to a car that was barely tapped. The accusations of a rock through a windshield on a road you don't travel. Or even cases in which people deliberately involve their cars and themselves in a collision with your truck. These all create claims that you will have to pay or defend. We've come a long way in claims fraud when people are willing to risk serious injury just to get a payday from you and us. We hope that the information presented here has been of help to you in both understanding the risks to your business and offering you tips on how to better manage them. On behalf of the Lancer Insurance Group, I want to thank you for your attention. For further information on the many free and exclusive products and services offered by the Lancer Insurance Group to our family of policyholders, please call our customer service department toll-free at 800-782-8902, extension 3301. At Lancer, the difference is our attitude.